Hi, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker for the day is Dymphe. Laan works as a project manager at Lexima, SEN teacher. Dymphe will be presenting the topic Struggling with Writing plus Reading Tools for University SEN Students. Let's go ahead and bring her on board.
Hello, welcome to my presentation. My presentation is about the tools for the university's special educational needs students who are struggling with reading and writing. My name is Dymphe Laan and I'm working at Lexima as a project manager and trainer, where I help all types of students and schools with working with our software. This is an overview of my presentation. Today I will talk about the challenges in higher education, challenges for international students, but also for students with special educational needs, and how the universal design for learning could help these students. After that, I will talk about the universal design for learning and how it supports software tools. And at the end, I will introduce you to a software tool called Alinea. And Alinea is a tool by Lexima. The transition between high school and higher education is for many students a difficult transition. Some students lack the skills they need to survive in college. Autonomous learning is a skill that becomes more important in higher education. As a student, you can't rely on your teacher anymore. They're expecting that you work alone most of the time. That requires different skills like planning, task initiation, time management, flexibility, and many more. Some students excel in these skills, but some students are facing more difficulties in higher education, like students with special educational needs or international students who face a language barrier. The most important thing for students is a sense of belonging. The inclusion in education can help with that. Later in my presentation, I will tell you more about the universal design for learning and how it can contribute to inclusive education. As I told you before, students face many challenges. The worldwide pandemic didn't make it any easier for students. The impact of COVID-19 in higher education was very big. For example, universities are closed. Approximately 103 million tertiary education students are affected by the closures across the Middle East and North Africa. The majority of these countries and public universities are struggling with providing large-scale online teaching and learning. The key challenges universities in the MENA region are facing with regarding to moving courses online are the following. There is a lack of access to internet or Wi-Fi, a lack of hardware such as tablets and laptops for students to use at home, limited availability of online courses, or the limited possibility of moving courses online, for example, due to the nature of the subject, such as lab work in medicine or chemistry. Lack of online platforms for teaching and learning, limited digital skills of teachers, or limited skills of students to access and learn online, limited face-to-face and social interactions with your instructors and classmates, which can lead to decreased student motivation and learning, affecting disadvantaged students even more. Not only COVID-19 affects students in higher education, some students with special educational needs are unable to cope with the academic challenges. A significant number of negative school experience and other secondary problems can develop, which in turn can result in failing or dropping out. All over the world, the dropout rate is different. In the United States, only 60% of all those who started college actually earned a degree within 6 years in 2017. For example, in the Netherlands, 29% of the students leave without at least a first tertiary degree. On average, countries have a dropout rate of 31%. The dropout rate can be high due to many other problems. High dropout rates may be an important indicator of problems in educational systems, like courses may not be meeting students' educational expectations or their labor market needs. Vulnerable students are more likely to drop out, but a universal design for learning could help to prevent this. Let me tell you more about the universal design for learning. The Center for Applied Special Technology found that the principles of universal design in architecture and product development could be applied to developing useful educational tools. Universal does not mean a single solution that is ideal for everyone. Each brain processes information differently. One of the earliest examples of universal design is the sidewalk curb cut. Initially designed to improve access for people in wheelchairs, creative uses of curb cuts continue to multiply. Today, cyclists, skateboarders, and people wheeling strollers and shopping carts are among the many who appreciate the convenience they offer. Curb cuts are also an excellent example of an important premise of universal design. When adaptability is built into a design, people will find numerous uses for it. Research identified three primary networks that impact learning, called the what, how, and why network for learning. The recognition network deals with incoming stimuli and affects what students learn. The strategic networks mediates how students process information based on such things as past experience and background knowledge. And the affective network regulates students' attitudes and feelings about incoming information, as well as their motivation to engage in specific activities, and that is the affective network. Successful teaching and learning involves addressing all three networks simultaneously. Based on these three networks, there are three principles of the universal design for learning. The affective network, that is the multiple means of engagement to tap into learners' interests, offer appropriate challenges, and increase motivation. We have the recognition network, that is multiple means of representation to give learners various ways of acquiring information and knowledge. And we have the strategic network with multiple means of expression to provide learners alternatives for demonstrating what they know. The universal design for learning can be used in classrooms for inclusive instruction of general education and special education students, allowing general education students access to multiple ways of learning and creating a greater sense of belonging for students with special needs. Sense of belonging is created as students with a wide range of cultural experiences see themselves reflected positively in the classroom materials and teaching. The universal design for learning provides flexible approaches that can be adapted to the individual needs of students across the learning spectrum. Text-to-speech programs or software tools are commonly used as an effective tool to support students with special educational needs. It allows special needs students to see and hear content presented in multiple ways that may increase their ability to absorb the material. But most of all, special educational needs students can feel included and participate in the classroom just like other students. In this way, the use of the universal design for learning can benefit students at all levels because there are multiple pathways to learning and some work better for individual students than others. The universal design for learning differs from a traditional learning in several ways, including the presentation of the material in visual, auditory, and tactile ways, the use of different testing formats, including oral presentations and group projects, and the increased motivation of students because of these varying methods of instruction. However, the implementation of the universal design for learning also presents challenges. The method requires the creation of an accessible curriculum, which may require the input of multiple teachers. Additional funding and technology resources like software tools might also be needed. How can text-to-speech software support the concept of the universal design for learning? Software embraces and supports the concept by making print and electronic material available for a lot of students. The software uses a multisensory approach, presenting print or electronic text on the computer screen with added visual and auditory accessibility. It incorporates a host of dynamic features designed to adapt to each individual's learning style and promote active learning. The universal design for learning advocates the design of products that are usable by all students to the greatest extent possible without the need for further adaptation. It enables schools to convert text materials into a format that provides the range of accommodations for most students need to access curricular materials successfully. What is Alinea? Alinea is a software tool by Lexima, and Alinea consists of three components. First, the Alinea software, which is a offline software for Windows where you can work offline up till 6 weeks. So that is great for taking tests and for students without the access of great internet connection. We have Alinea Online, which is web-based to access digital content like websites. And we have the Alinea app for iOS and Android to access paper content like a textbook where you can take a photo of your textbook and the Alinea app will read immediately aloud. From now on, I will tell you how Alinea support the universal design for learning, and I will demonstrate a few useful tools for students. As I told you before, the universal design for learning consists of three networks. First, I will discuss the recognition network. Using Alinea, students can follow along with text as each word is read aloud and highlighted. That is especially interesting for students with dyslexia for a better reading comprehension and students for ADHD. So when they get easily distracted, they can read along with the text. You can change text sizes or color for greater visibility for students with a visual impairment. You can change the reading speed or reading voice to your likings. You can choose the amount of text to be read aloud at any time. You can turn off the voice and silently read along with the highlighted text. You can easily access a broad range of audible reference tools like a picture dictionary, a vocabulary, a spelling tool, word prediction, and you can use a built-in translator to provide support for English language learners or international students. And last, the increased accessibility for students using Alinea. With Alinea software, you can make different tools accessible. With the Alinea app, you can make paper books accessible. You can make a photo of your textbook, and Alinea can read aloud. You can use web-to-speech, which is a part of Alinea Online, to make websites accessible. And you can create audio files to make materials accessible on portable audio players so students can listen wherever they go. Using Alinea, students have choices for how they engage and demonstrate their understanding of the text. Students can annotate text, complete worksheets, take tests, and write essays, access a variety of tools to support too many stages of the writing process, like a word prediction, a spell check, assistance with verbs, compounds, and homophones, and a speech-to-text tool. They actively engage with text by taking notes, using tools to fit a variety of learning styles and needs, like annotations, sticky notes, highlighters, and drawing tools. You can easily reread blocks of text, test instructions, or questions as many times as needed to ensure comprehension. You can proofread work by hearing test answers and written work read back. And you can easily extract highlighted text into a separate document to create a summary, very time-saving for students. Alinea is content independent and can therefore be used across curriculum areas. It is vital for students to be able to independently access age-appropriate content so that they can develop the vocabulary and background knowledge needed to fully participate in class, complete assignments, advance their academic skills, and protect their self-esteem. When students can manage tasks that were once difficult, tiring, or extremely time-consuming, they develop a more positive attitude towards their work, gain independence, and get the maximum benefits for their efforts. The success they experience using Alinea can help increase motivation. Let me show you which features of Alinea you can use to support special educational needs students or international students struggling with reading and writing. I will show you examples of Alinea Online, Web-to-Speech, and the Alinea app. This is the Alinea Online web application. So this is a web-based program where you can go to open different kinds of contents like articles or textbooks. Let me show you how. You can open from any cloud device. So I use Google Drive, but you can use your Dropbox or your OneDrive as well. And I will open an article. As a student, you have to read many articles, and that is possible within the Alinea Online web application. You can read aloud.
Teacher characteristics that play a role in the language, literacy and math development of dual language learners.
You saw a double highlight, so that is great for students who want to read along, so especially for students with dyslexia for a better reading comprehension, or students with a visual impairment or ADHD. When they get easily distracted, they can read along with Alinea. This is a multi-sensory approach that suits the universal design for learning. It is also possible to adapt settings, so it is possible to change your reading speed. Some students read faster than the other. You can pause your duration between words, And it is also possible for you to change your language. Multiple languages are available here in Alinea Online. And if you want to read another voice, it is also possible. So international students could benefit from the fact that you can change your language. It is also possible in Alinea to create another selection mode. So if you want to read a text aloud by yourself, you can use a Hoover to read along and read only the difficult words. So you can read on your own. And when you find difficult words, you can
Equitable.
hover over these difficult words.
Characteristics. Implications.
And Alinea will read these words aloud. There are different tools that students could use to make sure that they get a better reading comprehension. It is possible to use the tools you can find here, different look up tools. So you can, if you find a word difficult, you can click on a word, go to your lookup tool, and the dictionary will give you a meaning of the word and you can read the meaning aloud. And it is also possible to use a picture dictionary, and a picture dictionary is great for students who want to make a visual representation of the word. So as a student, when you're reading an article, you also want to make notes while you're reading the article. Within Alinea, it is possible for you to split your screen so that you can see on the left side your article and on the right side you can make notes. While you're typing, Alinea has a layered support. So the first thing you will notice is that you can hear what mistakes you made. That is the first support Alinea does, a audible support, the speech while typing.
These are my notes.
Now I can hear that I made a mistake. I typed notes instead of notes, but I can not only hear that I made a mistake, but I can also see that I made a mistake because of the red underscore. And the red underscore is a spell checker, and the spell checker will correct my mistake.
Notes.
Besides a spell checker, it is possible to enable a word prediction, and the word prediction can help me think about writing difficult words.
About.
If I want to write the word language and I think that is a difficult word, I can look at my word predictor and it's very time saving to click
Language.
and it will fill in your word. Another support is the speech to text tool where you can say the words and Alinea will write it down. So that is very time saving for students where you can write your essay, but you can speak and Alinea will write it down so you don't have to type it all. Development. So here you can see that Alinea wrote down development. A tool that students can use to make a summary are highlighters. Highlighters are also very useful when students want to mark difficult words, important sentences, etc. I will close my double screen and I go back to my article and I will highlight different things. You can highlight as much as you like. So I can highlight the title of the article. In another color, I can highlight important sentences, and in green, I can highlight difficult words. If I want to make an extraction or a summary, I click on this button and it will extract the things that I just highlighted. So very time saving and less difficult for students to make a summary like this. For international students, it can be very useful to use the translation tool. And the translation tool, you can just simply select your text and you can click on the translation tool and it will translate back to your native language the things you just selected. So I've just selected my title and now it will translate it back to my native language, that is Dutch. And the last tool that is very useful and common with the principles of the universal design for learning is the possibility to make an audio file out of your text. So when you go to your text and you click on making an audio, you can select the text you want to make an audio from. So if you only want to make an audio out of the abstract, you can just simply select the text here in the abstract and it will create an audio file for you. So students can listen to this MP3 file everywhere they go on any device possible. Let's hear.
The increasing diversity in classrooms throughout the U.S. calls for teachers who are.
To make more content accessible, it is also possible to use Alinea to read aloud websites. Students can go to any website and they can use web-to-speech. That is an extension for your browser and you can read aloud websites. You click on the sentence you want to read and you click on start.
United Nations says appeal will mostly address very immediate needs in Gaza such as food, health and medical supplies after 11 days of fighting.
To increase the accessibility of materials, you can use the Alinea app for Android and iOS to access paper books. Alinea will use optical character recognition to scan. You can make a photo out of your text and Alinea can read aloud immediately.
Dual language development. Many school-aged children speak a language other than English at home.
You can adjust your reading speed, your reading voice, and your language in the Alinea app. You can save your material and your photo on your device, but you can also upload your documents to your Google Drive, your OneDrive, or your OneDrive. So then you will be able to open the content in the web application you just saw, and you can use all the tools. For example, you can use the highlighters to make a summary out of the photo you just made. Very easy to use and to get a better and greater accessibility to all different kinds of curriculum used for university students. This was my presentation about struggling with reading and writing and the tools for the university special educational needs students. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. My colleague Andres, Head of International at Lexima, will be happy to help you with all of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing the insights. I am sure everybody is delighted to have you, and the insights are going to be helpful on a longer run. Thank you so much once again for being with us.